world has changed quite a lot since 2016 as well. I mean, the full-throated criminal invasion of Ukraine by Russia has completely upended the security situation in Europe. The land war that our allies and friends in Ukraine are fighting has fundamentally changed the national security picture. The nuclear deterrent and our continue at-sea nuclear deterrent that the UK has is the bedrock of our national security. And Labour reaffirming our support for that nuclear deterrent today. Thank you.
I have to start, Luke, as you can imagine, by asking you about this eye-watering opinion poll we've been reporting. It's exclusive to the Times. It says Labour could be on track for the biggest election victory in history. How are you feeling inside? Are you inwardly singing and dancing?
Well, no votes have been cast so far. And I think opinion polls, whether they show something really good that cheers me on or something that's really bad, are very much like an aftershave. They're like sweet to smell, but really dangerous to swallow. And my message to Labour canvassers at this point is carry on campaigning. Not a single vote has been cast, not a single MP has been elected. And there's still 4 weeks to go in this campaign. We're going to keep knocking on doors, keep delivering leaflets, because every vote is still in play. And there's going to be no complacency on our side. We've got to set out our positive vision for the future. And we'll continue doing that right up until 10 o'clock on polling night, and then see what the results have to show.
Right.
But I'm not taking anything from this poll other than we've still got work to do.
Right, sweet to the smell, be wary of swallowing. That's quite a cute line, Luke. I mean, did you rehearse that one in advance? Was that written for you by the party comms team?
No, I think it's also true. I mean, I represent a marginal seat, and I'm always wary of those polls that predict big wins or swings one way or the other. I mean, there are people knocking on doors all around the country at the moment who know that there are people who are thinking about changing their minds, switching their votes. And we've seen in the parliamentary by-elections in the last year that people are changing their minds, having voted Conservative in the past to having voted Labour. But there's also a lot of people who are undecided. And what these polls aren't showing is those people who are still genuinely uncertain about who they want to vote for. And that's why Labour canvassers and candidates are making that positive case about highlighting the failures of 14 years, of course, but making a positive difference to say, OK, and this is what we would do if we're given the privilege of being in government. And that's the right thing for us to be doing and will continue doing as this election continues.
Well, you're right to say a lot of people haven't made up their minds, something like 1 in 6 possibly, or that sort of area, which is a lot of people, could make a difference to the result. Nigel Farage has changed his mind. He's going to run for Parliament as the leader of Reform. Is that good news or bad news for Labour?
Well, it's certainly bad news for the Conservatives because the growth in Reform is down to the failure of Rishi Sunak. You know, the people who are telling me they're voting Reform, they're saying so because there's been a failure to build the houses we need, a failure to secure our borders, a failure on immigration, a failure to do politics better. And that stems from the government. And so whether Nigel Farage stands or not, the option at this general election will be between a Conservative government and a record of failure or a fresh start for Britain under a Labour government with Keir Starmer. That hasn't changed. No matter who stands in what constituency, the choice is clear about what's on offer on the ballot paper. And we've got to continue making that positive case because if people genuinely want the houses, the secure borders, that is on the ballot paper. And it means by voting Labour to achieve it.
Okay, I hear the subtext and everything you say. There is no room for complacency. Complacency really is.
Absolutely.
It really is your enemy now. It depends on how many people turn out and actually vote for you on the night, and that could affect the result. So let's just speak for a moment about the policy you're pushing today on defence, which is really, Luke, just a reaffirmation of policy, isn't it? And very much in line with the government.
No, what we've set out today is our nuclear deterrent triple lock, which is a commitment to build the 4 new Dreadnought-class submarines at Barrow in Cumbria, a commitment to maintain a 24 hours, 365-day-a-year continuous at-sea nuclear deterrent, and, importantly, a commitment to deliver the upgrades that are required to keep those submarines at sea, continuing that nuclear deterrent.
Yes.
Now, that's part of our commitment to spend 2.5% of our GDP on defence, because we know that in these more contested times, it's not only our allies that are being threatened more by Russia in particular, but it's also the United Kingdom as well. And so we'll be setting out our defence plans throughout this election campaign. But it's very clear that there's real concern about the capability gaps that we've seen since 2010. We've lost 1 in 5 Royal Navy warships, 200 RAF planes, and the British Army is the smallest since Napoleon. That's not the situation we want to be taking into this difficult, contested time, which is why we've said we'll have a defence review on day one of a Labour government that will look at the capabilities that we need to deter any aggressors and, importantly, defeat them if necessary.
Right. Now, just lastly, I'll describe this as a reaffirmation of existing policy. You could certainly say that that's the case. However, we're looking at people like your Deputy Party Leader, Angela Rayner, and David Lammy, the Shadow Foreign Secretary, who've changed their minds on nuclear deterrence since 2016. It's quite a change of mind, Luke, isn't it? In the case of David Lammy, that's a change of religious conviction.
I think the world has changed quite a lot since 2016 as well. I mean, the full-throated criminal invasion of Ukraine by Russia has completely upended the security situation in Europe. The land war that our allies and friends in Ukraine are fighting has fundamentally changed the national security picture. The nuclear deterrent and our continue at sea nuclear deterrent that the UK has is the bedrock of our national security. And Labour reaffirming our support for that nuclear deterrent today is an important part of showing that that Britain will be better defended with Labour in the future. But it's not just about those nuclear weapons and those nuclear submarines. It needs to be about conventional forces as well. And that's why this defence review that we want to put in place is so important at the same time, because we are losing good people from our forces at the moment because of falling morale, because of, frankly, awful accommodation that them and their families are being asked to live in. And that's all at a time where Britain is being threatened more than it has done for decades. That's why we need change. That's why we need a plan to better defend Britain than we have at the moment.
All right, and that is your pitch on defence. Luke Pollard, the Labour Shadow Armed Forces Minister. Thank you for joining us.